Here. I'm Rosaline Zisch, and I will moderate tonight's forum. This is sponsored by your League of Women Voters of San Jose and Santa Clara, and with the support, of course, of the City of Santa Clara. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization of women and men. We're established to promote political responsibility through informed, active participation in government. The League does not support, oppose, or evaluate political campaigns. It does not support or evaluate candidates or parties. Our nonprofit policy does not permit endorsement of any political candidates. We do, after careful study and education, take positions on some political issues. The League invites anyone who is interested in government and politics and serving the community to join us as volunteers. The format tonight will be the following. Each candidate will make a 1-minute opening statement. Next, the candidates will respond to questions from our audience. The questions have been reviewed by League members. We already have some that you've submitted, and we're looking forward to receiving more. And if you need more cards, we have plenty of cards to give out. Please note that written questions will be sorted, and we try not to duplicate, and sometimes they will be combined. This will broaden any attempt or allow us to get through more questions. We also like to not just ask one contributor's questions all evening. If you feel that your question has been misinterpreted by the sorters or by the speaker, please submit another. Due to the time limitations, not every question may be asked. Please feel free to briefly discuss ideas with the speakers following the conclusion of the forum. And we invite you to do this outside this chamber so that the next group for District 3 will be able to move in and get ready for that forum. And we appreciate that. Thank you. Each candidate will respond to the 1-minute question, and they will have 30 seconds to make a closing statement. They will each have one rebuttal card, that's this pink card, and they may use that 30 seconds to rebut another person's statement. If the rebuttal card is not used during the forum, they may use it at the closing. There will also be a lightning round of questions that are just real short, and we hope we kind of lighten it up a little bit on those. In the interest of time and decorum, I ask our audience to hold all applause until the end. And please silence those cell phones, if you wouldn't mind. And now I'd like to introduce you to the 3 candidates for District 2. And they're seated alphabetically. And that's Nancy Biagini, thank you, and Mario Busa, and Raj Shah.
Correct.
Thank you. I've been known to murder names, so I do not take offense at all. Having been a teacher for years, I've said and heard them all. So thank you so much. Now we are ready to begin, and we will start. Our timers are sitting in the front row, and they will be indicating the time when it's up and keep us all on track. Thank you so much. And our 1-minute statements, and we'll start with Nancy.
Okay, thank you. Hi, I'm a lifelong resident of Santa Clara, both as a renter and a 40-year homeowner. I was born and raised in a close family of small business owners, but at a young age, I chose a different path and spent years advocating for the middle class and working families. So I understand the needs of both, and I know what has been and what can be in my hometown. My life experience and leadership and collaboration lends to a common sense approach to multi-layered issues, and that means gathering input from all the parties and standing up, leading for that which puts Santa Clara first. My educational background includes getting all my degrees, including my master's, while I still work full-time. Of critical importance to me is the quality of life here in Santa Clara, how to enhance and protect it while seeking creative solutions. I'm grateful to all the older residents and the newer ones that have reached out to me with their concerns and suggestions because input matters and it helps shape my decisions. I have been and always will be Santa Clara first.
Thank you. Mario.
Well said. I liked it. I like your opening statement.
Oh, thank you.
My name is Mario Boza. I'm also a lifelong resident of Santa Clara. I attended Santa Clara Elementary School, middle schools, and high school, and then I went away to college. When I came back in 1975, I started my business here in Santa Clara at the Kerr Medical Building, which I'm going to be closing this year, and I'm going to be retiring, finally. I have 4 children. They all attended schools in Santa Clara, and along with all my efforts that I've been working for Santa Clara is I've been a member of the Santa Clara Charter Review Committee. I was opposed when I brought up the term limits. Also, I was against Measure J, which a lot of people at the time gave me heat. And I also been a part of the Santa Clara Rotary Club, and we put up a lot of good things. And right now we're working on. I've been stopped.
Yes, thank you. Raj.
I'm Raj Chahal. As a Santa Clara resident for the last 23 years, I'm blessed to have raised a family, started a small business in our city, and given back to our community. I have had the privilege of serving you on Planning Commission, MCCF, and Library Foundation. I have also served as Boy Scout Scoutmaster, School Site Council, and President of Santa Clara Sister Cities. My track record of community involvement and standing up for what is right for our residents includes organizing and leading efforts to get our Northside Library open and standing up to 49ers to protect our youth soccer parks. For the last 5 years, as your planning commissioner, I opposed inappropriate high-density housing projects such as the one on Moonlight, Lanes, Benton, El Camino, and Target Complex. I will continue to stand up to developers who propose inappropriate high-density housing, which causes traffic, congestion, and displaces small businesses. Our growth has to be smart, balanced, controlled, and collaborative. Protecting our neighborhoods, improving quality of life of our residents, affordable housing, and fair rents are my top priority. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, all of you. First question, describe your new district. What are the specific needs and desires of your constituents? And we'll start with Nancy. We'll be rotating the questions. So you get to go first this time. Yes.
So my new district.
Green?
Testing, there we go. My new district, District 2, encompasses roughly from El Camino, 101, the airport to Bowers, a few little exceptions. And it's primarily, while it's large geographically, it's primarily residential. And a lot of the concerns I've heard, and I'm still hearing, has to do with the issue of high-density housing that's going up on El Camino, which is why I'm proud to be on the El Camino Specific Plan Community Advisory Committee to deal with that as a whole, as well as the traffic congestion that results from some of this high-density housing. We also have a lot of light industrial areas that developers are seeking to get into because energy rates are so low here in Santa Clara, and that is a big concern too. Whatever happens, I'm for putting the neighborhoods and residents first, and developers are going to have to toe the line and do what's best for the city's quality of life.
Thank you very much. Yes, Mario?
A lot of the issues in our, actually, I don't want to really call it our district. I want to call it in general Santa Clara. I don't believe in districts. I believe in Santa Clara because we're all here in the same boat. Santa Clara is not that large of a city that we can call a district. But throughout our area is the high density, the monstrosity of homes that it infringes on single-family homes. I've been a proponent of that since 2004 when I first ran for city council. I brought that up. I fought for that. Also, at the same time, there's the traffic. There's a lot of traffic being diverted and through shortcuts through our major residential areas and turning into streets that were all open before into a major congested traffic, for instance, Los Padres, Monroe, and a lot of cut-throughs through the small residential streets, not naming even Bowers. Bowers is a mess as it is already. So there's a lot of issues coming up in our district, but like I said, we're all one Santa Clara.
Thank you, Mario. Raj?
Can you please repeat the question?
Yes, certainly. It is, you describe your new district. What are the special needs and desires of your constituents?
Thank you. So as Nancy mentioned, our district is north of El Camino and east of Bowers and some part of Montague and De La Cruz area. Some of the issues which not only my district is facing, it's the citywide, like high-density housing, and that's inappropriate high-density housing. I have a track record of fighting against inappropriate high-density housing for the last 5 years. My opponents over here, I did not see them on any meetings or any of those proposals where I oppose them. Resident involvement. I walk precincts, and their involvement in the city is very low. I want to involve them in decision-making. It should not be top-down, but bottoms-up approach. Affordable housing. Our working families are facing crisis on affordable housing and rent control, fair rents. And I'll be proposing very good solutions for affordable housing for our working families. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question is on Measure M, and we have several people who actually proposed questions on this. Pot shops and marijuana growing houses are currently prohibited in the city of Santa Clara. Measure M proposes to change that. Do you support Measure M in November? Why or why not? If passed, what would you do with the money? And locating the places that would sell it. And this time we start with Mario.
Measure M. I'm against anything that comes to extra spending or changing the city charters, for instance. A lot of measure things that are coming up. But I'm still, one of the things I wish I could raise my card here for Raj, but he really rattled my cage. Raj, you weren't here when you weren't even in this country when I was standing up and fighting for high-density housing. One of the first was around and the Belmont Saratoga Avenue, where they took down a school and started building high-density apartments, and also the condominiums that were being built right against my backyard. So for you to say that I didn't attend any of the meetings, boy, are you way offline, and probably Nancy did the same thing. So I wish you care yourself.
Okay, he put up his pink card after I had asked the question. So that's all right. Okay. So I was going to allow him to use his rebuttal. So we still need you to respond to the question about Measure M. And we will go ahead and give you that minute for Measure M, but your rebuttal card has now been used.
Yes, I oppose Measure M.
Okay, oppose. Thank you. Yeah.
You said you wanted it fast, you were holding my car up.
Well, no, we were going to give you some additional time, Mario.
That's okay, that's okay. Yeah. I keep it short.
Fine.
I'll use it in my closing.
Okay, Raj?
I do support Measure M. We have an opportunity to get some funding for our budgets in the future. My only concern is the funding we are getting, it should not be wastefully spent. We have to earmark exactly where it will be used and not make it defined, like undefined where it will be used in the future. So I do support Measure M, but the money should be supported for the benefit of our residents over here in Santa Clara.
Nancy?
I think it's important to recognize that Measure M does not mean that pot dispensaries are given the green light to move forward in Santa Clara. It's only about taxing, and taxing them if they're approved. I would like to see the money go primarily to public safety because it's almost a natural byproduct if we were going to have pot dispensaries in the cities, and that's a big if. I also think that it's up to the voters for approval for the taxation, which could bring in revenues, but also whether or not they want to see pot dispensaries located in the city. That's another issue for another day. As far as locations, they really need to be regulated. They shouldn't be near schools, near neighborhoods, and there's a big question about how many there would be in the city of Santa Clara. But for right now, I support Measure M because it's purely about taxation if they were to come in, and that's revenues for the city.
Thank you. This question, and Raul, you'll be first on this one, and this is on traffic. What solutions do you see to cope with traffic, and do you agree with the lane diets as a way to combat the traffic problems?
Traffic is one of the biggest issue we are facing in our neighborhoods. And other than high-density housing, this is one of the major issues. Now, how high-density housing, inappropriate high-density, is causing the traffic. And we have not taken measures which we should have way back. We do not have TDM penalties, traffic demand management, like our neighboring cities. I have been a proponent of putting TDM penalties on developers. Our developers are getting a free pass on getting inappropriate high-density housing approved without with traffic issues. Traffic impact fees, we are not charging adequate traffic impact fees. We are not looking at innovative traffic mitigating solutions, like intelligent traffic lights, as in Europe. Like lights can sync to each other, talk to each other, and propagate the proper traffic on the streets. And one more thing, the City of Mountain View partnered with Google for a public transport system. We should look at something like that in our city too.
Thank you. Nancy.
Hi there. Well, to touch on what is a hot button issue in District 2 as well as the rest of Santa Clara, it's the traffic congestion. Part of the problem is we're a pass-through city. People might live in South San Jose but work in Palo Alto. They come through Santa Clara, and as the freeways get overcrowded, they start using surface streets. That's a big problem. Synchronization of traffic lights would help, but it's really, in the big scheme of things, a small tweak, or it would have been solved years ago. What I think we need to have more of is what I call smart development, where we put jobs where the housing is and the retail, and link those up to transportation corridors as well as walk and bike trails. The idea being, park your car once, you go to work, you go shopping, and you partake in restaurants and the other retail establishments that are being developed. I think that it's going to take some serious look at smart development in our city.
Thank you. The next question, and Nancy, you'll go first on this one. Do you support the continued...
Wait a minute, I didn't get to, excuse me,
sorry.
I didn't get to answer that question.
Oh, I am sorry, Mario.
No, I had a great answer for you, too.
Oh, no, please, you've got to...
Jeez.
I'll give you a minute and 10 seconds. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, give me some more.
Yeah, right. This is traffic,
Okay,
Mario.
we got it in
Okay.
traffic. Okay, one of the things that my opponents here didn't mention was road diets. They didn't address that at all.
You're right.
Road diets. Are you for road diets? No, I'm against road diets. I see road diets in front of my office when I look out my window. When Prune Ridge and Heading, there's the road. It backs up all the way. And guess what happens when in road diets? People start taking shortcuts to the neighborhoods. And guess what happened? Traffic develops. So when you used to have a quiet little street, you have people swimming by at a high rate of speeds to try to beat the traffic. Yes. The problems that we have here with the traffic is we have big companies, NVIDIA, we have Apple, all of those companies right now, that's where they're creating the traffic problems. People don't live here, they go through there. I would believe taxing them to the max, and I have some ideas later that I will bring up if I have the chance on how to assess the problems. As one of my opponents mentioned something about recently, in 15 seconds, I can talk real fast, it's about rent subsidies or rent control. Just to mention, I'm against rent controls. Just to mention that.
Parents.
Thank you. And now we're back to Nancy. This one regards entertainment districts. Do you support continued development of special areas for entertainment or arts? For example, how do you think Santa Clara should cope with downsizes like traffic or noise?
Let me start by saying, you're right, I forgot to mention lane diets. It was an idea that's not working in the neighborhood, so I'm not for it. But when it comes to entertainment and art centers, we already have a little microcosm of that when the Franklin Street Mall opened up. I'm absolutely in support of that. And I believe that City Place, our new uptown, will also include entertainment and the arts and some museums. That type of cultural input into Santa Clara, to me, is very important. I would absolutely support it. And for the problem that noise and traffic might also include, I would say this: when developers come in and they talk about developing, it has to be something that fits in Santa Clara. And what fits in Santa Clara is not these high-rise residences backing up to neighborhoods or in neighborhoods. Instead, it's got to be where the developers are required to include open spaces, to include infrastructure improvements, school funding, and solve some of the noise and traffic problems that come with it.
Thank you. Mario, your turn.
Entertainment, I'm all for entertainment, the entertainment district, like the street dance. You can see how people are really just want a place that they can get together. We're fortunate enough, if I get to see it in my lifetime, the development across the stadium, to make that as part of the entertainment district, build something similar to it, like a downtown Disney with the coalition with the Great America, or something in that thing. But we do need more places for the arts, for instance, so that people can have more places to go out. Right now, we lack a lot of good restaurants that we have some great restaurants, but we have a lot of places that we can go and enjoy as a family, not something similar to like they have in Willow Glen and some of the other cities. And I think it's there in the future. If we're thinking of starting the downtown, let's make that a part of an entertainment district there too a little bit, without infringes into the houses. And let's see, things are coming up, Rosie, in the future. Not everything's...
Thank you very much. Raj?
It's very important to have an entertainment district in our neighborhoods. If we do not provide that, our residents will go out and we will lose our sales tax dollars and our entertainment over here. So I'm all for entertainment district, and I'm so excited for the residents' movement to reclaim our downtown, which will bring up that entertainment district in our city. And we will get a lot of sales tax revenue and increase of revenue on that. As regards the art, yes, I'm all for it. We have Triton Museum. We are not making best use of that facility, and we should be using that facility to the max by arranging various events on the Triton Museum. And as regards the noise ordinance, yes, the city has a noise ordinance which has to be followed throughout the city. Whatever noise ordinance we have, that's to be followed. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mario, you'll be first on this question. I did finish everyone that time, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Oh, good.
You did a great job.
Have to keep track of me. Okay, this question is on the budget. And we actually have a couple people who had questions about the budget. And how will you balance the budget over the next 10 years? And if Measure M does not pass, and the deficits are getting out of control, specific major budget cuts, do you propose to balance the city budget?
I hate to count on Measure M being if it passes, to being the leeway to saving money, because that's actually you're financing something as a drug habit. I don't care what you call it. It's still a drug, and it can become a habit. I don't believe in that. What I believe, one of the things that we have right now is a lot of, to balance our budget, a lot of our infrastructure that is getting hurt, and also the traffic, and a lot of our housing for the average working guy is being hurt is by, we should start taxing the employee tax. That's any businesses that have over 200 employees, like a lot of our firms right now, like NVIDIA, Apple, Google, and so on, they have, they're making billions and trillions of dollars, and they're taking away from our infrastructures and creating traffic and also creating a deficit in housings. It's about time for them to start paying a little bit more than they are, and I hope that will balance out some of our.
Thank you, Mario. Raj?
Education background-wise, I'm an MBA with finance and marketing. I can analyze the budget, and I have been running my own company since last 2005, and we have been profitable between ups and downs of the economy. My budget has two aspects, revenues and expenses. Our expenses, wasteful expenses has to be controlled. You know, we had a study on the new swimming pool. We already spent $1 million just on the studies, and we are nowhere over there. That's a wasteful expense. We bought Morse Mansion. We spent multi-million dollars, and now we have budgeted $1.5 million to fix it. That's a wasteful expenses. We should control that. 73% of our budget, general fund, is being spent on salary and pension. What's left? 27% for our general fund. We need to look at, analyze each and every line item of our budget to make it successful, and it should be resident-oriented, resident-friendly. And give you an example. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Raj. Nancy?
One thing I think that gets missed when we talk about deficits in the budget in Santa Clara is that we were able, since the recession in 2008, to put $70 million back in reserves, and that's something that needs to continue. But it will require that we take a close look at our expenses as well as our revenues. We need to streamline inefficiencies in the city budget, and we need to develop new revenue streams. One of the things that I think would help, for example, looking at City Place, that's going to generate money. But we have to be careful about appropriate development. And one of the ways, time being money, that we can speed up appropriate development is by streamlining the permit process, which would speed up the retail process and get these developments that are appropriate up sooner with more revenues for the city. I would also say, and I would encourage, that people attend the State of City that started this year when our mayor went out to neighborhoods instead of expecting people to come to them to talk about the budget and our deficits and understand better.
Thank you. A lightning round. They have 5 seconds to answer these questions. Are you guys ready?
I think so.
5 seconds. Okay. Number 1, what's your favorite sports team? Go.
Lakers.
USC Trojans.
San Francisco Giants.
Oh, right. What a range. Pet, dog or cat?
Dog.
Dogs.
Dog.
Dog.
Both. I have both. So
That sounds.
it's like a
Nicole.
child. You cannot have a favorite. You know how it goes.
Depends on your own home, yes. Favor or oppose? Measure A.
Measure A.
That's the one about sales tax.
Yes.
Sales tax. No?
Yes.
Okay. Favorite park?
Oh, God.
Central Park.
Favorite park? Yes.
Central Park.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Steve Carley Park, named after my neighbor.
Oh, nice.
The new one at Santa Maria and Monroe.
Okay, very good. You have lived in Santa Clara County how many years?
23.
I won't tell you my age.
Oh, shucks.
I will, 65 years.
Thank you. You have lived in Santa Clara how many years?
23.
65.
50.
Oh, that's okay, Mark.
I try to be as precise as I can in my answer.
Okay. Favorite fast food restaurant?
Oh, my God.
This is fast food.
Fast food.
McDonald's, you know.
In and out.
In and out.
Chipotle.
Panera.
Okay. Panera to me is a restaurant you go and sit down in. Wow.
Oh, I get it to go, and it's quick.
Thank you. And lastly, your favorite news program,
Let's see.
such as CNN, KQED, NBC, Fox.
Boy, are we talking about fake news or the real news?
We're not going to qualify.
No, I think that's I'll go pass on that one. There isn't one.
I like the BBC.
Yeah.
Actually, BBC, but to be honest, I switch back and forth between CNN, MSNBC, and Fox.
Right.
But I
Take a
think
little-
BBC is the most accurate.
Take a little bit of everybody.
The power of the switch, yes. Thank you, thank you. Our next serious question from our audience. Do you support rent control? If so, do you support the vacancy control? And any comments about the market rates? And
go first.
this one starts with Mario. No,
Raj.
okay.
Who do you want to start with?
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead, Raj.
I do not support rent control, but I do support fair rent initiatives. Like, we are providing such a good atmosphere to our big businesses like Intel, NVIDIA, and all these people. And that employment for those businesses is causing this disparity of home shortages and high rents. So we have to make sure that these corporations contribute towards something towards our city and fund so that we can take that fund and support our working families to initiate a fair rent initiative. There's a difference between rent control and fair rent initiatives, I'm saying. Rent control is the one which spoils our neighborhoods. It does not keep up with the neighborhoods. But I'm all for supporting our working families so that they can get some support from these big multi-billion-dollar corporations to live happily over here, and they're an important part of our economy.
Thank you. Nancy?
So I think at this point, Santa Clara has met its market rate housing goals, but we're behind on affordable housing. I think 15% affordable housing from developers is too low. That should go up. But affordable housing also includes renters. I would prefer that renters and their landlords work out their problems between them, but that's not always possible. And if it isn't possible, then I think it is appropriate to institute controls that look like rent controls. But again, first, I want to see those problems worked out.
Thank you. Traffic and bike.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But that's okay. That's okay. He said everything that I have said before regarding the businesses I should pay for the rent control. But anyway, one of my opponents here, he's for rent control. Rent control will deter businesses from getting involved, or any restrictions with rents will get businesses to getting involved in the market. And instead of getting businesses away from the market, you want businesses to come into the market. So if you put any type of restrictions in rents or development of properties, you're going to create a housing shortage. But like I said before, the cause of this housing shortage is a lot of the big businesses getting workers in their HB1 visas, getting here and subsidizing their apartments. Those apartments before were used for the average working citizen that for our service, the work in our service industry. We have to make the businesses pay and help do a subsidy in rent for those workers and go through the city. And that's where my tax comes with the employee tax of 200 or more, start taxing to get some, my stop sign again.
Right. Thank you. You can complete your sentence, of course.
Thank you. So that's where the taxes for the employee tax will come to subsidize the rent for the average working man that cannot afford to pay the absorbent rents that we have right now.
The difference.
Thank you.
Yes. Bike lanes. Do you think Santa Clara should continue to devote lanes to bikes, squeezing cars into one lane and creating more traffic? Gee, I wonder where that person's coming from. Yes. So let's see. I got mixed up last time because I thought Mario was supposed to start. So it's Nancy this time.
I start?
Thank you.
Oh, not a problem. Do I support bike lanes? There is a growing community of folks who like to commute by their bicycles. In general, I would tell you that I do support bike lanes, but it's how it's done. That's a big issue right now on the El Camino Real Specific Plan Community Advisory Committee, because we are looking at El Camino as a whole and then figuring out where the parts would go. One concern I have with bike lanes is that when you reduce the number of car lanes and the bike lane is right next to it, I have a major concern about accidents between vehicles and bicycles. How you separate those out are some of the ideas that came out of the workshops for the El Camino Real Advisory Committee that I think are worthwhile exploring. It's a difficult question. I don't want to see bike lanes go away. I want to see them done in a manner that doesn't inhibit traffic, yet still provides a degree of safety for those that choose bicycles.
Thank you. Mario?
I ride a bike. There's, in the major thoroughfares, like I said, I'm against the road diets. This is actually what happens. You get and start a bike lane. By having a bike lane, it isn't like you build a barrier and nothing's going to happen to you if you're riding your bike in the bike lane. There's a couple of people sitting in this audience right now that had accidents, even though if they were in bike lanes. And riding a bike right now in the streets with traffic is, you got to be a little bit insane to do that, especially when people were texting and so on. I love to ride my bike in the trail or early in the morning when there's nobody on the road. And so I enjoy it, but bike lanes, let's put a hold on that for the time being right now.
Thank you. Raj?
I do support bike lanes, but the safety of the riders is the paramount. One reason our streets are so car-oriented because we do not have a last-mile traveled public transport. As I mentioned earlier, like City of Mountain View, in collaboration with Google, started 6 public transport buses, and they are doing a great job. That's in collaboration with the city. If we do that, we can take off so many of these cars off our roads, and that way we can make our bike lanes pretty safe, and they will be good for our community down the line. And that's the reason. We need to look at the total solution, like not one piece at a time, but we need to look at the total solution of traffic management in totality. So I'm all for it, but it needs a bigger picture where we can solve these issues under that. And I see 2 big bike enthusiasts over here, Serge Chain and Councilmember Teresa O'Neill, who always bike on that, on bike to the work and everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Raj. Our closing question tonight, unless my watch is really slow, I think I'm right on, is on housing. And you had 4 people give us questions about housing, so I'm going to try to combine these a little. One is very concerned about housing that would ruin the character of Santa Clara. And another is concerned about the density of housing in the city, and also avoiding those high rises that has already come up. And the last one was the general concern about density and the appearance of housing. So I think they all feed into each other. They're all concerned about what we should do about it, recognizing the need, but being sensitive to what Santa Clara is. And on this one, we start with Mario, right?
Thank you. You got it right. As I mentioned before, I'm against the monster homes. Actually, we stopped one in our neighborhood on Queens. They were going to put a 6-bedroom, like 4-bath or something home, and when the average houses next to us are 3-bedroom, 2-bath, or 4-bedroom, 2-bath homes. And we been working on to reduce the size of those houses. The problem that we have with the high density has gotten out of hand, even in the El Camino. It looks like you're driving through a tunnel. There's not that much room left in Santa Clara to keep building. The only place that I see that I'm encouraging the development, like I agree with, is across from the stadium, that to go into high rise, but you can only go so high because of the airport, the approach of the landing and takeoff of the airplane, especially in the approach. So we have to set the limits a little bit higher in some other areas that we see. And I hate to lose our light industrial area for housing too.
Thank you. Raj?
I'm the one planning commissioner who have been opposing these all inappropriate high-density housing. I want a housing, but at a proper place. I oppose Moonlight, Irvine Complex, Summerhill Project at Target, so many of them, because they are causing traffic and they're causing congestion in our neighborhood. They're disturbing the neighborhood peace. I'm all for affordable housing. Now, how we can do affordable? We are not negotiating without developers in a proper way. SB 35 requires 50% or more affordable housing, and these developers say we cannot provide. You know, in Cupertino, Walco, they agreed to 50%. We can make them work. On a specific area plan, we were talking about East Tasman. I was appalled to learn that staff was proposing 8 and 10% of affordability component over there. That is a specific area plan. We can do much better. We should ask somewhere between 15 to 50%, like somewhere close to 30 or 40% of affordable housing component on those one. Development agreements, we have a full right to ask as much affordable housing on development agreement as we like. These are a sole development agreement where we can do good. Thank you.
Thank you. Nancy?
Okay, I am also concerned about the character of Santa Clara. I want us to retain that small town feel, and we can do it. I think we have to ensure that any development coming in fits for Santa Clara and works with residential input. I can give you a good example of where that happened, and it's in District 2, is the Freebird proposal. It replaced a proposal that had, I want to say, a couple of hundred units down to at least half. Neighbors complained about the original development. Their input helped with the design of the current one, and it's working. The Kylie project that they're talking about, some 50 stories, while it may be in northern Santa Clara, it is not a good fit. You've got air traffic issues, the traffic that it's going to cause, and the rest. It's just not a good fit, and if it doesn't fit, you got to quit. That's how I see it. It shouldn't be in established neighborhoods or butting up against established neighborhoods. There's going to be a certain amount of stress on the infrastructure, and I just got the stop sign, so.
Right. They're really scared of your stop sign. My goodness.
We're trying to behave.
Right. Thank you very much, Nancy. Okay, we will now have the concluding remarks by our candidates, and two of them that did not use their pink cards have 30 seconds added. So both Nancy and Raj will have 30 seconds added to their closing remarks. And let's give them a moment to set the little timer. We want to express our appreciation for all your honest responses and listening carefully to the many questions that you had. Are we ready? Mm-hmm. Okay, so Nancy has her 30 seconds added, right? Right. So Nancy, if you'll go first.
Want me to start? Okay.
Thank you.
First, I do want to thank the League of Women Voters and Presentation High School Girls for their help with tonight's forum, and all those in the audience as well as those that are viewing this. With my knowledge of Santa Clara and my lifelong skills in both negotiations and advocacy for the middle class, I can provide a unique perspective on the council. My priorities rely on developing, maintaining, and keeping open, honest, positive communications with residents, business community, and public officials. I have a history of strong leadership as someone who can unite different perspectives in a collaborative way that builds lasting positive relationships. I'm not afraid of making tough decisions. I don't suffer from analysis paralysis, and I won't abstain from important votes. My guiding light has been and always will be what's best for Santa Clara. And I also recognize that while I will represent my neighbors in District 2, I'll also keep in mind that all decisions made by the council have an effect on Santa Clara as a whole. I'm very proud of the fact that I have a wide range of support and endorsements from diverse groups that includes labor, public officials, businesses, multilingual, multi-generational, from longtime residents as well as newer residents. Most valued of all are from the individuals that know I'll do what's best for Santa Clara. I would be honored to receive your vote. I promise it will always be Santa Clara first And you can get more information by visiting my website, beagenie4santaclara.com.
Thank you very much. And if you don't mind, Mario, we'll go ahead with the other one that got the 30 seconds added, okay? Make it easier for the timers. Thank you very much. Raj?
It's time that you, the residents of Santa Clara, have a voice on the council. I promise I'll be your voice on the council. I have a track record of making decisions which are for the residents, not developers or special interests. Before you decide to vote, please compare my track record of experience and community service with my opponents. As council member, I'll set the right tone on the dais, as I have done on Planning Commission. I will demonstrate how to differ with one another respectfully, find principled compromises, and focus on the issues and common good of our residents. My independent vote on council will be in the best interest of our residents and not for any individual, group, or special interest. My education, values, and experiences have prepared me to make smart, analytical, independent, and financially pragmatic decisions for our city. I have not and will never accept any money from developers, PACs, or special interests. As Mercury News editorial said, Raj is the best choice for Santa Clara City Council District 2. With your vote, I promise to bring resident power back on council. To learn more about me, please visit rajforsantaclara.com. And I would like to earn your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mario? Thank you.
I noticed that they had about 10 seconds left. One of them had 10 seconds. Could I have it in my part?
That was clever, but it doesn't
It
work.
didn't work, huh? Well, you can try. That's the way that I do things. One of the things for sure, if I'm elected, one of the things I will bring to the council is executive. It will not be an executive functioning deficit in the council, because I learn from my mistakes, and I turn not to. I have the ability to proceed and make quick decisions based on facts instead of special interest groups. The candidates, both candidates, have said the same thing that I have said. And if you look at the ballot statements, our ballot statements are almost identical. It's like they were written by the same person. So just go for the candidate you think is going to be able to stand up in the council and fight for you, not just for the special interest. I didn't ask for any endorsement. I did not seek any endorsement, and I didn't take any money for any PACs or any special interest groups. And I think it's ridiculous to spend a lot of money on a campaign that a job doesn't pay that much anyway. So I'm logging it up at $900. I guess I'd rather go to Hawaii instead of spend my money.
Thank you. This will conclude our forum. It's been designed to impart to you information for the voter and specifically for District 2. In accordance with our belief that informed and active participation of the citizens, we think we gain and become a stronger country, a stronger community. And we invite you to go to our website. We have bookmarks available as you leave. We also have the Easy Voter, which is a handy guide for all of the issues here. And please go to Voters Edge. You will find our candidates are there, and all of them, and you can learn quickly about them. And if you came tonight and realized you're in the wrong district, you can put your address in there, and it'll tell you which district you're actually in. So thank you again for coming. Please vote on November 6th and help make our democratic republic work. Thank you again, and thank all of you. You're staying, and if you're not staying, that's fine. We will miss you, but please exit. Yeah. Good evening, and welcome to the Candidate Forum featuring candidates for Santa Clara City Council, District 3. I'm Rosaline Zisch, and I'm your moderator for tonight's forum. This forum is sponsored by the San Jose Santa Clara League of Women Voters, and we have the full support of the City of Santa Clara. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan, non-political organization of women and men. We were established to promote political responsibility through informed, active participation in government. The League does not support, oppose, or evaluate political candidates or parties. Although our nonpartisan policy does not permit endorsement of political candidates, we do sometimes take positions on political issues after very careful study. The League invites anyone who is interested in government and politics and in serving their community as a volunteer to join us. Information is on our website. And at the end of the evening, there's a bookmark you can pick up, which has information about our league, as well as Voters Edge, where you can find information about your candidates and all candidates that are running this year. The format for tonight's forum will be as follows. Each candidate will make a 1-minute opening statement. Next, the candidate will respond to questions from our audience. The questions have been reviewed by league members. Please note that written questions will be sorted by the members in order to combine duplicates, broaden any that are specifically addressed to a single speaker, and eliminate those that may attack somebody. If you feel that your question has been misinterpreted by the sorters or by the speaker, being me, please submit another. There's plenty of cards, and we're happy to hand them out to you. Due to the time limitation, not every question may be asked. Please feel free to briefly discuss these issues with the speakers following the conclusion of the forum. And the facility managers asked us, when the forum is finished, to take ourselves outside this building to the quad area, and so that they can proceed to lock up. Each candidate will have 1 minute to respond to each question, and finally the candidates will have 30 seconds to make a closing statement. They will each have 1 rebuttal card, and that is worth 30 seconds, and as such. And if they don't use it during the course of the forum, they may use it as part of their closing, and the time will be added to their closing. There will be a lightning round of questions that require a yes or a no, or just take 10 to 15 seconds to answer. In interest of time and decorum, I ask that our audience to hold all applause till the end, and please silence those cell phones. I'd like to introduce our candidates at this time for the City Council District 3. We have Karen Hardy, and who won the flip, or the toss, and so she'll be speaking first. And we have, okay, here we go. I want to give him his full name, even though he's already told me that I can call him Sam. It's Serena Vasa, and then Sambath Kumar. So that's Sam Kumar. Yeah, right. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That's a very long alphabet, yes. And we English speakers murder it all the time. I did it in the classroom as a teacher as well. So I'm not picking on anyone in particular. Anyway, we are ready to begin. And Karen, you will have the first opening remarks. It should be green. There's a little button to push.
And I have pushed it. There we go.
There you go.
My name is Karen Hardy, and I'm running for City Council, District 3. I have lived in Santa Clara over 32 years. I've lived in the area of District 3 over 29 years, and my husband and I have owned our home there in that area for 25 years. My bachelor's degree is in chemical engineering with a technical option in environmental control. I have my master's in teaching. I served as a planning commissioner for 8 years for the city. I served on the Historic and Landmarks Commission for 5 years. I served on the Architectural Committee and the Charter Review Committee, and I'm now the chair of Citizens Advisory Committee. For 12 years, I have worked at Wilcox High School, and I teach math and computer science. I actually started computer science in the district because, believe it or not, we didn't have it there. Kind of embarrassing. So I like to change things, I like to make things better, and I like to do what's right.
Thank you. Sam.
Kind does not mean competent. Invested should mean committed to the future of the community. Smart should mean solve the problem. Sensible should mean acknowledge the real data. My opponent says she is qualified. Her record shows otherwise. Tonight, I ask for your vote for real positive change that puts District 3 first, not more 24 hours adult bookstores and more low test achievement that reduces property values and that disrespects the residents of District 3. My name is Srinivasan Sambat Kumar. I have a long name, but simple message. Let's put Santa Clara District 3 first.
Thank you. Our first question this evening is describe your new district, where it is, how it's the population ethnically, what are your special needs and desires for your constituents. And we'll start with Karen. Thank you.
The boundaries for District 3 are from El Camino to Bowers to the railroad tracks to Sunnyvale, and then behind where Coles used to be in what we often call the bird streets. If I were to give my district a name, I would give it the Calabasas Creek because the Calabasas Creek runs right up through the middle of it. I happen to know that because I've lived there for so long, and I also work within that district because I work at Wilcox High School. When we talk about what's there, it is so diverse. We have retail, we have single-family homes, we have high density, we have a lot. But the biggest problem is we seem to be some part of the city that was forgotten. Our parks have not been, our one park, Machado Park, has not been upgraded in the decades that I've lived here in Santa Clara. I'd like to make that happen.
Thank you.
The District 3 is located, I would call it Midtown. From Bowers through Lawrence Expressway, bordering Sunnyvale, plus the small bit, Karen said, Birdland. And more than 50%, around 50% of the people are renters. Diverse background. And very tight-knit community. And they feel very strongly they've been neglected for a long time. I want to represent them. That is my whole objective.
Thank you. And this one, Sam, you'll take this one first. You're being asked, what do you feel are your unique qualifications for this office?
My unique qualification is bringing in business background, number one, plus consensus builder. bringing different background people together to the discussion table, put challenging tasks on the table, get it resolved. We don't want to kick the can for the future meeting or for future council meetings.
Thank you.
I served on the Planning Commission. I understand the rules and the realities of what development should and shouldn't go in. We haven't been following our general plan, and we need to do that because on El Camino there should be mixed use. It should have both housing and retail. My qualification is I was on the Planning Commission and we helped design Rivermark. Rivermark is a great walkable neighborhood. It's a community that works, and we brought a lot of services to that community that didn't have it before. That was important to me. Also, I was on the first commission that pushed for and got Eulistat Nature Preserve. We recognized that preserving our history and open space was important. We often forget that, and I work very hard on that, and I feel quite proud of it.
Thank you. And Karen, you'll answer this one first, so we'll just rotate through these. Thank you. Do you support hiring a sustainability manager for the city of Santa Clara? And what would his or her role be?
Well, it all would be dependent on what you mean by sustainable. When we talk about smart growth and making certain that the growth that we allow in the city is sustainable, that we don't just build something and hope that the retail will come or hope that the housing will be appropriate, that's a problem. But we also need to watch our budget. We have over 70% of our budget is now in paying our salaries and our pension. We've got a big concern with that. I would be careful to not to open up a new position, but maybe to take someone within the city that knew what the possibilities were and make certain that became their concern.
Thank you. Sam?
I definitely will encourage us hiring a sustainability manager and even a small department, because a lot of things that is not being done, we can definitely initiate many things, such as, for example, the sewer water plantation that we jointly own between San Jose and Santa Clara. That water can be put to reuse. Right now, nobody is looking at it. And therefore, we definitely need to have somebody expert in the sustainability arena to bring in to see how we can best use our existing resources and how we can extend it.
Thank you. The next 3 questions, actually, are all about schools. And their issue of school performance has been raised in District 3. What is the role that the city can play in the operation of these schools? And what success can we look for? How can we improve? And do you have any experience that would help with those issues? So, schools. And Sam, you get to go first.
I'm a strong proponent of having after-school program for students, particularly homework centers. The working families, they are facing a lot of stress, and they don't have time, 2 to 3 hours set aside to help their kids do the homework. Right now, as you know, the statistics came out, 56% of students failed. Math standardized test, state mandated standardized test. So nobody is taking, responsibility for it, and nobody is held accountable for it. My opponent is a math teacher. She has been teaching for 12 years. Last year to this year, even getting worse. So if we continue to take this path, what will happen? So we are not going to prepare our students for future jobs, good jobs, and also for higher education.
Thank you. Karen?
I find this interesting because the City Council has nothing to do with the schools. They are different entities. And I am very proud of the fact that Wilcox is in the top 12%. Actually, they're in the top 6% nationally. They do very, very well. My students actually get higher on the national AP scores than the national average, both in my computer science and in my calculus classes. My kids get into great schools, and our SAT scores are extremely high. We rank quite high and better than some of the other schools in the neighborhood. I won't mention any because it would be mean. We do a very good job, and we have after-school math tutoring 4 days a week that the school already pays for, and I personally will tutor anyone who comes to my room, and I even gave them my home phone number.
Thank you. We have general concerns in two other areas. One is budget and another is traffic. What a surprise. So in the budget area, our deficits are ballooning out of control. Do you have any specific major budget cuts that you would propose? And since we're such a small group, I think I'll let you go with that one first. So Sam, would you take that one first?
I went first last.
Yeah. For the budget cuts.
Yes. I'm not suggest any cuts at this stage. Last year, I believe, recently 70 million has been put into general fund. So therefore, I don't see how we are having a budget problem, right? So there should be surplus money that is getting put into general funds. So if it needs to be cut, it has to be in any non-essential department. That's where I will focus on it. But not in first responder, not in the fire department, not in health-related field, no. Not senior services also.
Right. Karen?
Thank you. Budgets are always a problem. We do have a requirement to have a balanced budget. It is a requirement. It's how we make that happen. I think the best way to do it is to give management incentives to find waste. If you give them an incentive to look for that, that makes the difference. And sometimes we can just do more with less. When I was the chair of the Planning Commission, I had certain requirements that I had to get people to all their commission conferences. I figured out how to do that and under budget, even though my budget had been cut in half. We just stayed outside of the city and drove in and got to their conferences. You can do it if you work at it. My mom always had a rule. Use it up, wear it out, make it do, or do without. That's how I was raised, and that's what I do.
Thank you. A specific question that goes with budget is, should the city have spent $2 million to build a new lawn bowling clubhouse for people using a particular court on a park? And would this have been something you would have encouraged or passed if on the council? And Karen, you go first on that one.
Well, it's hard to second guess after something's happened because hindsight is perfect, right? But I know that when we put the senior center in, I pushed for the lawn bowling to go over in that part so that we opened up more of Central Park. I thought it would have been better utilized in that area, and that park there off Monroe is not as busy as Central Park, and I knew as our city gets more dense, that open space becomes more important. I didn't get what I wanted. I got told by the Parks and Rec director, it's going to stay where it is because they want it there. We'll see. I still think it should have been moved, and spending $2 million to fix that up maybe wasn't our best use. We should look at how many residents use that as compared to maybe other services.
Thank you.
Can you repeat the question again, please?
Sure, Sam. It's to do with the lawn bowling, and they spent $2 million on a lawn bowling facility and clubhouse, And it's at that specific park, the Central Park. Yes. So the question was, if you'd been on the council, would you have voted for this?
See, anything to do with seniors, I will be on. Definitely, I don't have any regrets voting for it. I think they deserve the most because they did pay their dues. It is our obligation to do what all we can to give them the best possible service and also facilities for them to enjoy their sunset years.
Thank you. Traffic. Do you support continuing to build? Now, isn't that funny? This is really more like housing. But it's about having a means to move people in the dense housing areas that create so much traffic. So do you have any ideas or solutions for those issues?
If we could only solve it in 1 week, 1 minute, that would be perfect. Even if you have a week, it's very, very complex. The reality is the county runs our we actually have 4 within the city expressways. So we are somewhat controlled by that. And then we have a state highway going right down the middle of Santa Clara, which is El Camino. But we can work with the county. They have done a better job with San Tomas. They've worked to synchronize those lights, and we're having less problems there now. That has not happened yet on Lawrence Expressway, and I think it needs to. What I proposed is I would like to see left-lagging lights, where you're letting your through traffic go first and holding back your left-hand turners and letting them turn on a, it's an unprotected left, and you only go to a protected left if you have to. Many cities have done this, and they've been able to help their traffic. I think we should do it.
So your question is moving people? Can you repeat the question again?
Oh, yes. That was about, let's put it down there, didn't I? Yeah. This is, do you have solutions for the traffic that becomes an issue in the dense housing areas? And if there's another way to move people, such as a public transit.
See, we have to encourage population at large to take mass transportation and then use bicycles if they are comfortable using bicycle, and use even shuttle services that's not available. I am proposing that each city, not only city, even the private sector during the peak time, provide shuttle services for their employees to move from point A to point B, not just for the last mile, move even from 5 miles in surroundings, so that we can eliminate too many cars getting into the expressways and even local streets. So I strongly recommend different way of looking at things, how we can move from point A to point B, number of people during the peak time.
Thank you. Question about rent control, and do you support it or not? And if so, do you support the vacancy control, which doesn't adjust to market rates? And along with this question, this whole idea, is this idea of housing needed, but the character of Santa Clara, and not destroying that character. So, rent control, yes, no, and what we do about that need for housing without destroying our city's character. Let's see, I think Sam's first on this one.
I'm not open for rent control, but some kind of stabilization, right? And plus also, we need to have affordable housing so that people can afford, the service employees can afford to stay here, work here, rather than traveling 1 hour, adding to this CO2 greenhouse effect, and give them the flexibility of working different schedules rather than have to come in peak time, leaving peak time. So that way we can minimize number of cars getting in. And so affordable housing is the main thing that we need to focus on it. In order to do that, we need to have a transit village concept where high density can be encouraged.
Thank you. Nancy?
Rent control is something that sounds really good because we all want to control our rent. But when you look at what has happened over the years, say in New York City where they have rent control, who it really helps is the people who have been there for a long time. It doesn't help anyone moving in. That's the problem. Rent control, I had a problem with a landlord, and we went to mediation while I was looking for someplace else because I didn't want to deal with it. I think staying out of it is a better situation. It's interesting you would have talked about vacancy because this is something that San Francisco is right now dealing with. There was a big article today and a big article in the news. How are they going to handle the people that have businesses or commercial property? Are they going to force them to offer that for rent? I'm going to watch what they're doing because I'm not certain the city getting involved is going to help that market rate. Sometimes the market controls itself.
Thank you. One more traffic question, and that's about the diet lanes. Do you agree with having diet lanes or as a way to combat that traffic problem?
I'm sorry, what kind of lanes did you say?
The diet ones.
Diet lanes,
Yes,
okay.
right. Actually, you could combine it with the bicycle lanes too, because they are kind of related in a sense in reducing the number of lanes that a person can use. So if you'd like to comment on the bicycles as well, that'd be lovely. So, Karen?
Okay. I love to ride my bicycle. I love to ride it up the trail. In fact, I got upset when they blocked it off during events up at the stadium. But the reality is, we saw what happened on Calabasas. Remember I said I would have called my district the Calabasas district. They went to one lane each way on Calabasas and put the bike lanes in. That could help, but in the middle of it, they switched the bike lanes and had them cross traffic. That actually causes more trouble and is dangerous. When we need to look at the amount of traffic that needs to go through a situation before we'd ever take a lane out. And the idea of doing that on El Camino is frightening. I know I feel more comfortable being on my bike on the trail than I do in many areas where there's a bike lane, especially when you are too close to the traffic. I think that's dangerous, and Monroe is probably one of the worst. We don't have a bike lane.
Thank you. Sam?
I strongly encourage increasing bike lanes every possible corner of the city. That's the only way we can support the bicycle community. It's very, very essential. It helps out. They can stay fit. Its health benefits are tremendous. And I won't take away the bike lanes. Even El Camino Real, we just have to make sure safety precautionary measures are taken place and put the bike lanes there. I know I have a lot of friends who bicycle. They're encouraging me to get into. I haven't yet. I'm looking forward to doing so. So therefore, whatever the percentage of bike lanes that we have in the city now, we could double it. So that the generation that follows us, they also see it. They want to also do bicycle and use it as a commute option.
Do you bike to work? Sam?
No,
Not yet?
not yet, not yet.
Got to buy that helmet first, I
But
think.
I do have a bicycle. I occasionally do ride.
Right.
Yes.
And Karen, how about you?
I only live a mile away from Wilcox, and I do bike when I can. The trouble is we haven't had any place for the faculty to put their bikes except inside their classroom, which is a problem. Or you can put it out on the bike rack with the students. and the students often get the air let out of their tires. I have pushed for and would like to have some kind of a bicycle, not just the rack, but the lockers. That way you could feel much more comfortable and not have the problem. And I would bike more often, except I often have a lot of stuff because I am the robotics coach and I have robot
Carrying
stuff.
yes. And I can speak from experience, carrying stuff on a bike can cause an accident. Okay. Oh, right. That's okay. It was short. We answered it short. Yes, right. That came up really quick. I thought that was a fun addition. This would be first for Karen, actually. And what is your position on Proposition 6? That's the gas tax repeal. A yes or a no, question mark.
With my background in chemical engineering, I happen to be very aware of some of the rules in California. Did you know that you cannot sell gasoline unless it has been refined in California? And we have not built a new refinery in over 35 years. All we've been doing is refurbishing. That's one reason our gas prices are going up. The other reason is we are the most heavily taxed. Now, the idea was we were supposed to fix our roads with that. But anyone who has nearly lost a tire on El Camino lately knows that they're not going for that. So maybe we need to put them on a diet of taxes before we give them any more money to spend on who knows what.
Sam, proposition, yeah.
Is
proposition.
basic repealing the gas tax?
Yes, yes or no?
Yes, I will go for it.
Okay. And you
100%.
yeah, you're welcome to make a comment if you'd like.
No, I think we pay already too much
Okay.
for gas. And it's time to, get that thing off so that our people in California can get a break.
Thank you. Once again, we have a number of questions about Measure M, and which is on the ballot. And should tax money from Measure M, if it passes, be used by the city in what way? And the idea of pot shops and marijuana growing houses are currently prohibited in the city of Santa Clara. Measure M proposes to change that. And do you support Measure M in November election? Why or why not? And this time, Sam, you go first.
I'll support it because it will give more revenue for our general fund, number one. That can be used for many purposes. Improve infrastructure improvement and services that we are neglecting right now. And I would simply support Measure strongly.
Okay. Karen?
Being a school teacher, I'm not real thrilled about the idea. I went to people that teach in Colorado and asked them if they noticed a difference in the schools after marijuana was legalized, and they said yes, they had more problems. That bothered me. I also went and talked to someone who worked at one of the dispensaries in San Jose because I wanted to understand. I didn't want to just have a knee-jerk reaction. And the reality is there's a lot of smell that comes from this, and you have to be growing on site. I can see where some people would think Santa Clara was a nice place because we have lower electrical rates, and you'll need a lot of electricity to grow pot. I'm not real thrilled with the idea. I don't think I'm going to vote for it because I don't want to put my students more at risk. I know I have a lot of problems with their motivation. It is, I don't need more. And I don't think we'll get that much money from it. That's what they've shown.
Thank you. A quick little lightning round and with some fast answers. Favorite team to support?
San Francisco Giants.
Pet. Tell me, what's the most unusual pet you've ever had?
Fish and a cute little rabbit who was afraid of their own shadow.
No pet?
No, only dog I have, that not unusual.
Oh, well, it depends. Some of them would be kind of unusual, I think, at least in personality, right?
Yeah.
But dogs are nice, although I prefer cats. We've talked, oh no, we didn't talk about this one. Do you favor or oppose Measure A? That's the sales tax.
Not
The state one.
Yeah.
State one. The problem is if it's just going to go into the general fund, we have no control over that. We don't earmark things. Are we taxed enough? Is it hard for my students to even live in this area? Do I know their parents are on the edge? Yes. And that's my concern. I don't think I want to support any more taxes at this point.
There's a two Measure A. Santa Clara Measure A, I supported it. State Measure A, I'm not supporting it.
Okay. So local, okay, state, okay. And I think, actually, I think Karen answered this one, but how many years have you lived in Santa Clara County?
32, it'll be 33 in 2 days.
Oh,
I remember moving here.
right.
I've been living in Santa Clara County since 1984.
Okay.
For a short period of time, I left. I lived in Fremont. While I lived in Fremont, I have residence here. I held an apartment here. I have 2 apartments still, and I do stay here in the weekends. So in Santa Clara County from 1984 till 1991, and then 92 till 1998, I'm away. From 98 onwards, I'm here.
Okay. Thank you for all that detail. Favorite news program?
News program?
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest, I don't have time to watch the news. I'll usually catch things on the Drudge Report and read articles because I can read very fast.
Okay.
60 minutes.
Okay, thank you. And a fast food restaurant you prefer? Doesn't mean you have to eat there all the time.
Subway.
Okay.
I'm a vegetarian, so fast food
Oh,
and
no,
vegetarian
there are
doesn't.
some good places, I know. Some of those new ones that have the bowls.
I prefer to go to Sweet Tomato.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you for participating in that kind of fun thing. Back to our serious questions. We've answered a number of the things about living in this city and how long we've lived in this city, and we appreciate hearing that from you because many of the people here tonight are really concerned about this city, and they have been residents for many years, too. If there was a, let's see, there's a question here about who do you look up to and who is your role model and why in terms of leadership? Oh, yes, this would be Karen.
I was the same. Susan B. Anthony. I think she was amazing. She started out in a Quaker family, very religious, but she just felt very strongly about issues. She first fought against slavery. She felt it was morally wrong and we needed to do something about it. Then she looked at the reality and went, I don't have a vote. I don't have a say. And she went out after that. She lived until, let's see, she died in 1906. She was not here in 1920 when women finally got the vote. And I think it's amazing that they put her on the dollar coin because I think she was wonderful. And she fought and fought and fought for what she knew was right and what she knew needed to happen. And she fought for that minority situation when, quite frankly, when you say minority, we're half the population.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Karen.
So my heroes, I would say Mahatma Gandhi and Nelson Mandela. Mahatma Gandhi is a freedom fighter. That's what people know throughout the world. Actually, he didn't fight. He used non-violence to secure a freedom for India. Not only he secured a freedom, plus also he kept India as together rather than breaking into pieces. So therefore, Mahatma Gandhi is number one. Nelson Mandela follows second. He defeated the apartheid and got the freedom for their people. What he has to go through to achieve that is amazing. So these two people are my role models.
Thank you. As a history teacher, I appreciate both those answers a lot.
Thank you.
And this will be our last question before your closing remarks. Thinking about the experience of your children in Santa Clara, what community activities would you most value for a family and for the quality of life? And this one, it'll be you first, Tom.
Quality of life for
Yes.
children.
Yeah. Right.
See, quality of life is number one concern in working families right now. They have to fight to get to work because of the traffic. The fight to get back, before they get to work, they have to drop off the kids at school. Fight to get to work and fight to get back to pick up the kids, come back. The stress level is so high, they don't have time, right? So therefore, by eliminating stress point in the working families, creating more free time so that they can together spend family time, do whatever the kids wants to do. Take them to bowling, take them to a park, or take them to a movie. See, the free time is what they are lacking of right now. If they have free time, they will be all having fun. Or take them out to a fast food place.
Thank you. Thank you. Karen?
My husband and I raised our 3 daughters here. I loved that we had such good projects and programs and classes at the Community Rec Center. I started taking them there when they were very, very little. And they even did their preschool there, which I was really happy about. My 2 oldest enjoyed what was then called the Santa Clara Junior Theater and then was later renamed the Roberta Jones Junior Theater. Both of them ended up working at it as they got older and thoroughly enjoyed it. My youngest one liked gymnastics and started out with the city gymnastics, and after about 2 classes, they said, she's too good. They didn't have anything for her, so I had to take her over to Sunnyvale, where she was on the team there, the city team, and then she came back and helped and taught over on the park on Cabrillo. I'll think of it in a minute. She helped there with the California Sports Center, helping with gymnastics. So we have great projects here.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you. And now we'll have their closing remarks by each of you. And you both have your 30 seconds added because neither of you used those rebuttals. So as soon as our timer is ready. Okay, thank you. And for this one, we'll have Tom go first.
You have heard from 2 candidates tonight for District 3. My opponent has a record of not getting things done in her official government roles for District 3. Just look at El Camino Real and the blight in our neighborhood home district. Look at the math test scores for high schools where she teaches. Here are her priorities about focusing on elsewhere in the city. I will focus on District 3, homework centers for after-school academic help, traffic calming solutions, senior citizen service in our side of the town, clean up the parks, enhance library services, bring library services to District 3, mobile library services. I'll advocate as a council member for the city manager to bring attention to the neighborhood of District 3. And I will be honored to be your District 3 voice and the Santa Clara City Council. I am Srinivasan Sambat Kumar. I'll ask for your vote. I have a long name, but simple message. District 3 first.
Thank you. Karen.
I think my opponent's really confused. Maybe he's running for school board. But I'm running for city council. I work really hard at the schools. I make certain I do a good job. In fact, I have gotten the service club at Wilcox to adopt Calabasas Boulevard, and we cleaned it up and got 7 bags of trash we had the city come pick up. I live in this area. I care about it. It's important to me. It's important that we do good things. It's important that we do the correct thing when it comes to development. I got upset when I was on the Planning Commission a few times because the Planning Commission would look at a project and say, it's not good. And one developer said, oh, just turn it down, I'll get the votes on the city council. I was horrified. I would like to see more people on the city council with an understanding of what development means, knowing how to read those plans, understanding the rules. That's important. It's important to me that it be somebody that raised their children here, whose kids went to the public schools, who went to the community rec center. I've helped out at a food booth at the Art and Wine Festival. I can't even remember how long, I think it's 20 years. It's important to me. I help out, I take students over to the battered women's shelter, and we do a birthday party. I don't just talk, I do this. Please see my website, KarenHardy.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. This concludes our forum. I'd like to thank the candidates for participating. I would also like, oh yes, please. I would also like to thank our volunteers from Pioneer High School and our League of Women Voters volunteers as well. Yes, absolutely. Pardon? Presentation, what did I say? Oh my gosh. At least you guys don't play each other in a league, right? Oh good, yes. Oh, presentation. In fact, presentation doesn't have any of those boys. This forum has been designed to impart information, obviously a couple of laughs as well, to the voter, and in accordance with our belief that a democracy and a democratic republic like we have depends upon informed and active participation of all citizens. And we hope the insights you've gained this evening will help you making your decisions. Please check out Voters Edge. You will see the candidates on there with more information and statements that they have made that might help you, along with other things about this coming mid-election. And the date is November 6th. Please vote and help somebody else vote too. Thank you for coming. Oh yes, and we have other things to give you as well that will help you. Right.